So you're 6 foot, right?
6'2".
Right. So apart from being a little bit shorter than Reacher, I see zero differences between you and him.
I do like a little bit of milk in my coffee though.
You're filthy. This is a family show. Welcome to All Things Reacher. Stop looking at your phone. Chris Martinez, I know you. I know all about you. I know things that I shouldn't know about you. Tell people who don't know about Chris Martinez, please.
To you or to the camera?
To me.
Okay, but you already know.
All right, tell them then if you want to.
That feels weird though.
Talk to me, you idiot.
Okay. Documentary filmmaker, I guess.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of social content nowadays for YouTube and things like that. Mainly in sports and in gaming.
So I feel like you'll be bringing some insider filmmaking knowledge to our discussion about Reacher.
If that makes the viewers stay put, yeah. Okay. I'll be bringing that content.
Excellent. And this is a podcast about Reacher.
Yeah.
Tell me your experiences of Reacher so far, including what I asked you to do.
Okay. So I know that it's a very popular book character. So
have you read any of the books?
I barely read any books.
Okay.
And no, none of them have been Reacher.
Okay. What have you experienced of Reacher?
I watched the first film with I'm really bad with names. Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, there we go. Yeah.
I watched the Tom Cruise movie.
You watched it with Tom Cruise or Tom Cruise was in it?
Tom Cruise was...
You and Tommy C's was hanging out?
Yeah, no, I actually saw it in the cinema.
Okay.
I remember vividly watching it in the cinema.
Okay. We'll get into your experience of watching that film later on. So far, no books, one film.
There was a Jack Reacher on Amazon before the current season, right?
No.
No, okay.
No.
What am I thinking of?
Oh, you might be thinking of Jack someone else. There's another spy thing on Prime.
Jack, yeah.
Called Jack something.
Okay.
But that's not relevant to this podcast.
No, cut.
Okay.
No, I've only seen the movie and I was aware there was a TV show.
Okay. So the deal was that you're my good friend and I wanted you to come on the podcast. The deal was that I asked you to watch the first episode of the Amazon Prime TV show. You have now done that?
I've watched it, yeah.
Okay. Excellent start.
Yeah.
First question.
Yeah.
You have little experience of Reacher apart from seeing him being played by Tom Cruise. Reacher fans, generally speaking, are not fans of Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher because he's a foot too short. And several feet too short and a few feet too narrow as well. What were your first impressions of Reacher from the TV show?
Strong silent type.
Strong silent type.
Yeah.
Excellent, much like your good self.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the character?
I did. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Did you? So what were you feeling going into it? Were you skeptical?
Going into it, I thought, what is my friend Kee doing? Starting a podcast about Reacher. He's hit rock bottom. Let me encourage him. So I've gone along with the script. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that. And I really liked it. And I think you're on something. I think this is not just a midlife crisis. This could be the start of something really special.
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Did I answer the question or did I just meander?
No, you did answer the question. But I appreciate your honesty as well. So, talk me through what your as a person who enjoys films and TVs and as a filmmaker, what were the things that really stood out to you watching that first episode?
It felt, even though like the subject's quite overdone, like, you know, strong person, cop, ex-cop or ex-army or whatever, I quite liked how it felt like in equal parts classy and cheesy. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was quite unique, actually. I
think it knows exactly what it's doing.
Yeah. I feel like it was cheesy, but equally it was shot nicely, good pace to the piece. So yeah, it actually kept my attention more so than the movie.
We'll get into the movie. Yeah. One of the biggest differences between movie and TV show is who they've cast to play Reacher. So in the books, Reacher is always described as being 6'5", 250 pounds. Sometimes he's closer to 300 pounds. The point is, he's fucking massive. Yeah. He's huge, right? Tom Cruise is not huge. Now, did you notice anything about... When did you first notice that Reacher was big, by the way, in the episode?
Well, the first shot is over his shoes, which are quite big boots.
Yeah.
And the first shot, then it's like a wide shot, and he's quite small in the frame. I think it's not until, 3 or 4 shots in, when the camera's behind him walking up towards the diner, when his shoulders are just massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a shot where there's 2 people coming out of the diner.
Yeah, having a little
and
Barney.
and the perspective of it is like he's ginormous in the frame. So watching that as a filmmaker, what are they doing technically there to show us that he's big?
Well, it's using obviously the camera's quite wide and close to him, so like it makes him look bigger than he probably is, but he is a big guy. And then they flip it to an extreme close up of his face. He doesn't say anything. And obviously the couple that are having a Barney, it takes the guy a minute staring at Reacher to realize, I'm not going to win this fight. Yeah.
And again, the composition of those shots is, I absolutely love it, because that guy always looks really small compared to Reacher. They've got him in the they're using perspective really well, so it's probably a wide angle lens behind Alan Ritchson, who's playing Reacher, to make the guy in the distance look even smaller and to have Reacher massive in frame.
Yeah, and you can also go for the costume and the casting. Like Reacher's like barely fits in that t-shirt.
Yeah.
And then the guy is like his corduroy shirt or whatever it is flapping around, and he's like really weedy.
Excellent.
So everything's sort of like playing in harmony to get that across. And I watched the intro twice, and one thing that I remember from later on in the episode was the cop female friend,
Roscoe.
Roscoe.
Yeah.
She says to him, "You've got really kind eyes." And in that moment, you just see his eyes, right? And he diffused that situation. Maybe he diffused it with kindness. Maybe it wasn't his body after all. Maybe it was his kindness.
That's interesting.
Probably not, though.
Probably not.
No.
I think he was going to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's nice. You briefly mentioned, and this is one of my favourite things about this whole episode and the introduction of the character, you briefly mentioned the fact that he doesn't talk for quite a bit. It's actually 6.5 minutes of the beginning of the show that he doesn't talk for. What did you think of that?
I really liked it. You kind of like, there's so much mystery, and he diffuses situations without talking. Like, he goes in past that couple. That could have been a whole conversation of like, what are you doing? None of your business. But no, it's all handled without words. And it just builds the intrigue, goes into the diner, and it's very clear that he's obviously looking around as well. So he's not absent. His mind is playing along quite fast. Like, where are my exit points? Who's in this restaurant?
That bit where he hears the sirens, turns around, sees the police, and then he looks around at the other people in the diner to figure out, they're not here for them or for them. They're here for me. And he does it all with no... I think it's so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's so good. What was your favourite scene? Were there any moments that you were like, oh man, that's so good?
I think the scene in his jail cell, the first time round.
Yeah.
When he's going...
With the glasses?
Yeah, with the glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because he tells the other guy, because he's panicking a bit, and obviously Reacher's just cool and collected and just taking things as they come. He's like, sort of, settle down. You need to rest because you'll need your energy. Yeah. But then I like how Reacher then takes his own advice and just sits lies on the bed, closes his eyes, puts his arms behind his head, and he's physically resting until he's needed.
Sleep when you can is one of Reacher's things.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, settle down, mate. But he's also like just giving him good advice because he actually takes that advice.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's a bit of a kerfuffle. People come in, take the guy's shoes, take the guy's glasses, smash them. And at this point, Reacher's still just chilling. So he's waiting to the very last moment, preserving the energy to the last moment. And then as soon as one of the cellmates encroaches on our friend that he's with Reacher, then you see the feet pop down. Yeah. And I think that's a bit of a theme, really. Like, his feet pops down in the very first sort of shot when you meet him. Yeah. Like, he's getting ready to do business.
I like that throwback a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he lets the shoes get taken. He's not really bothered about it. Lets the glasses get broken, and then he's like, okay, cool, there's gonna be violence now. I'm gonna have to step in. So I really like that scene, the pacing of it, and then also the 3-2-1, but not giving him the 3-2-1 because he knows that he needs the upper hand because he's outnumbered. So yeah, just very, very calculated guy.
Have you seen Mission Impossible 4?
No, let's move on.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about it anyway.
Okay, fine.
There's a bit in Mission Impossible 4 where Tom Cruise is scaling that big building in Dubai.
Okay.
And there's a lot of jumping and stuff like that.
Did you know he does his own stunts?
Yes, I did.
Everyone knows that.
I rate Tom Cruise.
He won't stop talking about it though.
No, I know. It's all right, Tom. And he does this big jump. But it's the third time that he jumps in the film.
Right.
And the reason you believe that he can jump that far is because he does 2 smaller jumps in the film. He does a smaller jump at the very beginning of the film to jump across something, and then later on in the film he does a slightly bigger jump, and then he does the final third big jump. So all the way through the film they're signposting for you that this character can do jumps like that. This first scene, and I like the fact that you've mentioned the feet coming down into shot. I think they're using very clever signposting to show what Reacher can do, because that scene where he headbutts the guy is the first time we see him be violent and use his physical strength.
I think it was...
So he does a headbutt and then 2 elbows.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. But he does the 3-2-1 thing. No, he does 1, 2... and then he headbutts him.
Yeah.
But then he does the same thing in the bathroom scene later, but goes even quicker. And that's, for me, that's really clever signposting with film to go, we're going to give you a taster of what this character is like, and then he's going to escalate it and take it even further. I thought that was really cool.
Agree.
In fact, that bathroom scene is my favourite scene.
The bathroom one?
I think, yeah, dude, I love his fight scenes. I think he's a really good actor. I think he really embodies Reacher really well. But that fight scene where he's just beating the shit out of everyone in that bathroom and it gets more and more brutal. Oh, yeah, I love that.
I was wondering when the help would arrive, you know, the guards would come.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were going to come in the last second and stop a little bit, but no, he'd already finished his job.
Yeah.
I quite like that. He was like literally like, okay, everyone's done, and then they got to him.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Right, so we see him and his brother in flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the flashback device? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think they had to. So interestingly, obviously, you see his mother, and then he goes off with his brother, and then later on he mentions how he only has his brother alive. So then immediately you think, oh, we're gonna see the brother at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess they're trying to show how important his brother is to him at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he also mentions he was a good guy. I think he tells another character he's a good guy. So I feel like they're trying to reinforce that friendship is probably the only living one that's important to him. And they just seem to be very on the same page. Like they're sort of like helping each other, and they turn around, take their t-shirts off at the same time, and it's kind of inevitable they have to fight. So I think it just shows you how close and similar they are, I kind of guess, and how they're on the same page.
I'm not a massive fan of flashbacks.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing in this show that I'm like, I'm not sure about that, but I don't know how else you do that. I don't know what other device you can use to do that.
Yeah, I'd say the grading was a bit too much, because they kind of made it a bit bloomy and a bit vintagey.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess you kind of have to tell the audience, hey, this is not happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then you don't need to show a caption 1998. We knew that it was young Reacher. Yeah. That annoyed me as well.
Maybe some people didn't.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe some people did need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Maybe they could have done it a different way.
Were there any bits watching that first episode that you thought, I wish I'd shot that? Mine would be the bathroom. The way they shoot the fight choreography. Yeah.
I really like the opening shot, which is just blank, and you just hear the audio of the gun and then a body hitting the floor.
Yeah.
I thought it was really clean.
Yeah.
And ironically, I could shoot that actually.
Yeah.
I could leave the lens cap on and just hit record for a few seconds.
I think you've done it before.
Yeah. No, I genuinely feel like that first sequence is really intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the the really clean audio of death, like the gunshots. I was like, okay, cool. This you know what you're getting straight away.
Yeah.
So I like that sequence. But yeah, a bit of a cop out because there wasn't really a shot there.
No.
But I liked that.
Do you think that was a decision in post, or do you think that was always going to be the case?
It's hard to say because obviously, yeah, the storyboard might have had the whole sequence we see afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
The editor might have thought of a good idea to sort of like, you know, oh, let's play with sound design here. So yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think I really like it stood out for me.
Yeah, it's a really nice moment.
Yeah.
When you were watching it, was there anything that you didn't like? Because it sounds like you had a good time, but what didn't you like about it?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I feel like maybe the only thing that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way was I really liked that Roscoe was sort of like one step ahead of the other cops.
Mm-hmm.
And I was hoping she wouldn't become a romantic interest. I was hoping that she would just be a good female cop that was looking at the situation a bit more, less emotional than the other guys in the precinct. So I wanted her to like clock onto him that he was innocent, but then like when she was like, "Oh, do you want to go for dinner?" and then there's a bit of sexual tension.
But you don't know.
I don't know her motives, no. But I was hoping that she was just the bigger person and the clever, like the yeah, I don't know, yeah. I didn't like that.
Yeah. I hear you.
Cheapened it a bit, you know?
I hear you.
I feel like I wanted it to be like she was just one step ahead of the others rather than it being fueled by, oh, maybe she fancies him.
Yes. So this series is based on the first Jack Reacher novel, which is from 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, and they don't do it anymore, but back then, in every single one, Reacher would have essentially a different love interest.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it anymore, and there is part of me that wishes they. So in the novel, she is a love interest as well.
Does it play out similarly where she's sort of the only person that thinks he's innocent initially?
Oh God, that's a good question. I haven't read it for a few years. Yes, I think so. Dude, it's a really close adaptation. It's really true to the book, and where it does veer away, it's more of an updating than anything else.
Yeah, I just think the love interest side is all like cheapens her smarts.
I agree, and when you read those older Jack Reacher ones, it does feel outdated a little bit, and it does feel like sometimes the women are just there to be Reacher's interest rather than their own standalone character, which I agree does feel a bit like that for Roscoe. However, I think if you keep watching, her character just gets better and better, and I think it's really good what they do with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this section with a question that I ask everyone that comes on this podcast. You're the third person, but I will be asking everyone, which is, Jack Reacher doesn't have a middle name. If you were to give him a middle name, what would that middle name be?
Bond.
It's time for a section that I like to call What Would Reacher Do?, where I give you a premise, a situation, and based on your newfound knowledge of Jack Reacher and love for the Reach, you tell me what you think Jack Reacher would do. Okay. Are you ready for the situation?
Yes.
Okay. The situation is, Jack Reacher is waiting in line at a coffee shop for his order. Black coffee. It's his 17th of the day. The barista calls out his name. Jack Reacher reaches out his giant arm to wrap his hand around the cup. But as he does, another person reaches out their hand to wrap their hand around the cup. They meet eyes. I'm Reacher, Reacher says. No, I'm Reacher, the person says. What would Reacher do?
Firstly, I don't think... Can I change it up a little bit? I don't think Reacher would say that he was Reacher. I think he'd just use his eyes again. I feel like he would grab it because it's his drink.
Yeah.
And he would keep hold of it because it is his drink.
Okay.
And then when their eyes meet, the other person will realise that it's his drink. So I think he doesn't have to do anything.
See, this is why you're a better filmmaker than me.
I feel like the other guy's going to let go.
You're assuming it's a guy.
That changes everything.
Go on.
That changes everything.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't think he would.
I think in this day and age, Reacher doesn't care if it's a guy or a girl.
No, I think he's a gentleman.
Yeah.
Which is not outdated. I think we should still be gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a guy, he wouldn't use his words. He would just use his frame and his stare like he does.
His kind eyes.
His kind eyes like he does in the first scene, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first scene after the credits.
Yeah, the diner.
To diffuse the situation. And I think the other person would quickly realise that is Reacher's drink. And even if it was theirs, it's better off just letting it go.
But what if it isn't Reacher's? What if it's the other Reacher?
I don't think he would have grabbed it if he didn't know that was his.
You think he would know?
He would have realised how many people were in the queue ahead of him.
Yeah.
He would have seen who just grabbed their coffee, and he will hear the coffee machine going, and he will know which one is going to be his machine coffee or his pour.
I love how well you already know Reacher.
Yeah, he won't make that mistake.
He knows it's his coffee.
Yeah.
Chris, it's time for a section that I like to call On Your Marks, Get Set, Go Bag. Now,
yes,
you're on the road a lot as a filmmaker, going from shoot to shoot.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you have to have in your bag that you cannot leave without, even if it's something that Reacher would scoff at you for?
Well, if I'm travelling for work, it's got to be a 2p coin. Because they're the perfect size.
Now, I know why you're saying that, but tell everyone else why you're saying that.
Because one of the most common things is attaching and deattaching a base plate to a camera.
Yeah. To go on a tripod.
Yeah. So that a 2p coin is good for that.
Yeah.
And also, if you travel back like 20 odd years, you can maybe buy a sweet with it.
Do you remember 10p mixes?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, those were the days.
Those were the days. Right. If you were making a short film...
Yeah.
With Jack Reacher in it. So he travels light. He travels with a passport, some money, and his toothbrush, right? So if you were writing a Jack Reacher short film or TV show, what one extra item would you make him travel with, and why?
I think maybe like some cocaine or something. Just so like he gets stopped at a border and he'll solve some sort of crime, and then he'll come back and realise that I put the cocaine there as the writer.
Oh my God, this is meta. Okay.
So he would come out of the script.
Yeah.
And beat the crap out of me.
Now, it sounds like you've got some weird sadomasochistic tendencies.
I want to meet him.
You'd write,
yeah.
You'd write a meta film where you get to meet the real Jack Reacher.
Him, so yeah, so I could meet him.
Let's wrap up this beautiful chat by delving into our final section, which is called Read It, Watched It, Punched It. Books, TV shows, films. So, having watched the first episode of JJ the Reach, would you carry on watching the rest of the season, do you think?
I think so, yeah. I did really enjoy it. And I'm curious. Obviously, he's got reason how to stay in the town and sort of sort out whatever he's got involved with. So yeah, no, I am intrigued.
Excellent. When you've finished season 1, which you will,
yeah.
How did you feel at the end of the episode, by the way? Because he's I think it's Finley says to him, "So what are you going to do?" And he says, "Oh, I'm going to find them all and kill them."
Yeah.
And then the episode ends. Yeah. How did you feel at the end of that episode? Did you feel like you want to know what's next?
Yeah, and obviously I also like how honest he seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not sugarcoating it. Like, he's in front of 2 cops and he's still be like, well, right now I feel like I want to kill them. And you believe him, and they should believe him.
Yeah.
And obviously he's left a trail of bodies so far without really even caring. Like, he's just like, well, I've got to do this. Well, these 5 people are fighting, like, trying to start on me and my new mate here, so I'm going to beat them all up. He's got no real motive there, just to survive. He's like, well, they're coming into his cell, try and steal his mate, beat up his mate. So like, that's all really unintentional. He just has to do it. But now he's got motive, so I'm intrigued to see when he escalates it, how he's going to go about it. Obviously, he wasn't on a mission.
So if you make it to the end of the first season, will you come back and talk to me about it again?
Sure.
Excellent. Okay.
But I've heard a rumour, though.
What's the rumour?
Season 2 is not as good, so maybe I'll stop at season 1.
Who's told you that?
A friend. Just do my research.
Was it your mum on Facebook again?
No.
Okay, better not be. They're wrong, by the way.
Are
It's
they?
excellent. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll talk about it another time.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry, apologies.
cards on the table. I haven't watched season 3 yet. I've watched season 2,
Okay.
and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I can't watch something week to week. I can't wait for the episode. I've got to binge it. I've got to wait for them all to come out, and then so I'm waiting for the opportune moment to do that once I finish Game of Thrones for the third time. Game of Thrones is long, bro. Anyway, I'm going to call you a fan of Reacher now, because I think you are a fan of
You
Reacher.
call me a fan of the TV show?
Yes, okay, fair enough. Well, this leads me on to my next thing. Now that you've watched the TV show, talk to me about your experience of watching because I know what happened.
Yeah.
But tell us what your experience of watching that first film was.
Oh, it was just like Tom Cruise didn't seem any different. He was always like...
Chris, you told me that you fell asleep during that film.
I did fall asleep in the middle of the film.
In the cinema?
Yeah, it was just so... It was so generic. His performance is like... It was Tom Cruise.
I was gonna ask, because I know that you're a parent of 2 little ones, but they weren't born when this film came out in the cinema, so...
There wasn't lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit boring. I actually had like a Cineworld pass, so I was going to see most films.
Okay.
So it got to the point where I didn't feel guilty about sleeping in a film, because I wouldn't sleep in a film because obviously that's not good value. But when you pay monthly, it's a comfy seat. So if my time's better spent just having a little nap, I was happy to do that.
Yeah.
And I was happy to do that in that first movie. So it put me off Jack Reacher, but I'm glad you made me watch the TV show, because I don't think I would have.
Well, what? Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, I guess.
So I don't hate the Tom Cruise films.
Yeah.
I think they're fine, but I love everything Reacher.
Yeah.
I just love that it can do no wrong.
Yeah.
The Reacher world can do no wrong for me. So I don't hate those films.
Yeah.
But I can totally see why it would put you off if that was your first experience of it. But now that you've watched the TV show, do you think there's any chance of getting more into the Reacher world and maybe reading the books and going back and watching those films or anything like that?
I'll definitely continue the show.
Yeah.
Books is a tall order.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I'm a victim of the generation that grew up with screens. So my attention is not great.
Kindle, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's still words. You know what it is?
It's
still words. Yeah, I just
amazing.
I prefer visuals.
Amazing.
I'm sorry. I'll get memes for that, maybe. It's just words. If anyone watches this, I don't know.
No.
No
one will watch it.
We'll say.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
At what point in your Reacher journey did you go like, you know what, this needs a podcast?
Great question. It was over a year ago that I thought about the idea for this podcast, and originally I was just going to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. I was going to read each book, review each book.
I would wait a second. No,
go on.
Were you going to read on the YouTube channel?
No.
So I was like I could get on board with that because I don't want to read it. But
me reading it to you.
Yeah, I like you would.
The problem is I say toothbrush instead of toothbrush because I'm from Birmingham, and the word toothbrush appears in Reacher a lot.
You could AI that little bit.
Or just say toothbrush. Yeah. So I had the idea ages ago.
Yeah.
And then I didn't do anything with it. And then when I got this studio a few months ago, I thought this is the prime opportunity to start it up, because I love Reacher. And with the TV show being as popular as it is, I thought, do you know what? Now is the time. But I had the idea over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Where do you think the rest of the season goes? Predict where you think, who you think KJ is, who you think, where does it go?
Well, I don't like that they have something on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obviously going to confront a mistake that he's made, which obviously until that point you're like, he doesn't make mistakes. There's a grey area of like mistakes. So is this an opportunity to correct his mistake or erase this background that's haunting him? But I also predict he will kill a lot of people because he said he would.
Yeah.
I believe him because of those kind eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a liar.
Yeah. Please come back on.
Yeah.
When you've watched the first season, and we'll talk about the rest of it.
And I hope he doesn't kiss Roscoe.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Chris, thanks for coming on, man.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
This has been All Things Reacher, the podcast where we like our endings like we like our coffee.
Milky.
Black. See you next time.